Folks, we're on the brink of a nuclear war. It's the 27th of December, 2015, and the man on the right is forcing a nuclear war, and if he can't have that, there are hundreds of bombs being laid all across America by his Muslim buddies. Now, how did we get here? How did the U.S. and Russia and China get to the brink of war? Why do the Russians have 50 submarines on our border right now and the Chinese 25? Why do we have 22 nuclear-armed torpedoes that travel at 700 miles an hour ready to slam into the U.S. coasts? How the heck did we get here? What we're going to look at is Netanyahu. Netanyahu said March 12, 2012 that he's going to do everything he can to help the chief rabbis here with the coming of the Messiah, which means nuclear war. Do something to hasten his coming. Benjamin Netanyahu. We're doing. In other words, we're doing everything we can to hasten the coming of Jesus. Doesn't that sound a little bizarre? Now, we know that every AT&T owns a company that started Amdocs. Amdocs, all communications, all telephone communications run through Israel. All computer communications run through Israel. They run through Amdocs. Big deal. It's a big company. But that's why it takes you 5 or 6 seconds when you call your neighbor for it to click. Because your telephone call must first go to Israel and then it's sent back to you. Now, over the weekend, Hart reported that we have, this is very important, the real Putin, the one with the cut over his left eye, and these two men, the head of the FSB and SBR, which is the equivalent, or SVR, which is the equivalent of the CIA and the FBI are meeting in Israel with Netanyahu. These are not happy men. They supposedly are meeting because Russia's authorized the use of force in Turkey and the United States to stop the madman Obama from starting a nuclear war. Now, we know that in March of 2015, the United States commanders refused to start a full-scale nuclear war against a family of nations, and Captain Heather E. Cole from Tinker Air Force Base was fired because President Idiot Obama didn't have the launch codes to launch a full-scale nuclear war. Now, this is authorized under a top-secret document, U.S. Stratcom Operations Plan 8010-012, Strategic Deterrence and Force Employment, 30 July 2012. And what that specifically states is the United States Corporation is authorized to strike a family of nations, Russia, China, Syria, North Korea, and Iran. Now, this was developed after we pulled 350 nuclear weapons out of Iran, built for the Shah of Iran in August of 2007, 9 years ago. After we took the nukes away from Iran, the United States says, oh, let's nuke Iran. Now, please understand that all communications go through Israel. So if the idiot in the White House wants to launch a nuclear weapon, the request has to go through Israel. This is insane. And the Americans aren't going to start a full-scale nuclear war, despite what Netanyahu says. So he and his commander of his FBI and CIA have met with Netanyahu and ordered him to stand down. Now, every person in Israel, we give enough foreign aid that we give $30,000 per person to Israel every year. It's over. It's done. Obama has until March 19th to launch. And Putin says no, and the Americans there say no. But the little gay boys in the Joint Chiefs of Staff in the White House and who surround him, because they're all pretty much gay and they act really strangely, they're completely demon-possessed, he says no. Now, China's not there with him. Their economy is falling apart, and you don't see the Indian Prime Minister. Nor do you see the head of NATO, because a little freak who runs the Allied Supreme Command at NATO was an Obama appointee. And the rest of the world is saying no. So Putin's fleet must be in. It's like the United Nations says, the war that we're seeing here is the war in the heavens. And we'll discuss that a little bit later. So Russia is preparing to use its Spetsnaz troops all across the United States and Turkey to stop this destruction. And Obama, may I recommend you keep your stupid mouth shut, because they just found a nuclear weapon on the 17th of December, several blocks from the White House, 3 blocks to be exact. We gave the license number of the car. May I suggest you keep your mouth shut, President Obama, or that man on the left will stop aiding and assisting you. He's had it. It's over. All of the train wrecks in America were done by this man who authorized the Russians to do it. The train wrecks are strategically located to destroy the groundwater, so you have to drink surface water from your cities. There they can poison you with all kinds of poisons. They have to put on hazmat suits just to bring in the 50-gallon barrels of stuff they're injecting in your water. In Europe, we use a little purple light. And that purple light kills everything, but not in America. We're poisoning you. This man is responsible for poisoning you, and that man says enough. They have the ability, using woodpecker frequencies, to fry our brain and completely destroy the United States within a matter of 24 hours. We'd see a 90% casualty rate. That man has that ability to take out the United States. He's trying to work with him and all his handlers, and whatever they are, being demons, draconians, whatever they are. He's really trying to work with this idiot. Now, there are 6 of them, so I'm not downgrading Obama. He's just a speechwriter. But the real Putin is the real Putin. Granted, there's at least 2 different doubles, and we know the real men who work in Russia. But if for those Christians who are saying that this man is God's Savior and he's going to come to save the country, you're not listening to God. Whoever you have been listening to for the last 30 years is a liar. This man wants war. If he did what God said for him to do, we wouldn't have this war. When I told the head of the Russian church what God's prayer was, what his prayer was and what his answer, that man should have sucked me up and said thank you. But he didn't. This man is not with God. All those people praising him, let me explain to you. He's not with God, the King of Kings and Lord of Lords. Do you understand that? Have you the mental capability to understand that? Okay, I'm about done. We're on the brink of war. We need your prayer. This is absolutely true. The United States has sponsored it. We've already showed the film. And the most telling thing is the person they just killed. Remember HB Shelia, blah, 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 blah. What's his address? Thank you. Thank you. CIA Fudge Boys. It's now exposed. Registration number. The CIA sponsors ISIS and Obama gives them the money. You need any more proof? Coming to you live, Dr. William B. Mount. Pray that these people are obliterated. Pray that the evil is contained. And pray that that man stops demanding nuclear war and stops trying to fire tens of thousands of nuclear weapons at the rest of the world. Pray that that man is contained and that man is happy and does what God tells him to do. Pray that that man and his handlers are contained and they no longer demand that our top commanders fire nuclear weapons at Russia. They've demanded this 5 times this year. They've gone insane. Coming to you live, Dr. William B. Mount, Ambassador. There's a lot of things that I'm told that you don't understand, and I'm trying to get them out to you the best I can. But I'm not a spokesman. I'm not an orator. And it angers me so much that this man Obama is demanding nuclear war. It's just insane. Thank you very much, folks. I wish I was a better orator. I wish I was a better speaker. But I'm not. I'm just doing the best I can by telling the truth the best I can. Sorry. Anyway, thank you, and you have a very wonderful night, and pray that these people stand down. And the time to hunker down has come. The time to stand out and tell people is over. Let God's people do that. We're protected. Thank you very much. And the next attempt on Obama, of course, will be the 17th. But what it's looking like as the next attempt on America will be on the 25th on Good Friday. I guess it's Good Friday because I was told March 25th 6 months ago before I looked at a calendar. So that's the next go-round for an attempted strike on America and an invasion. Thank you very much, and you have a wonderful night, and pray it doesn't happen. Good night. Doesn't that sound a little bizarre? Now, we know that every AT&T owns a company that owns a company that started Amdocs. Amdocs, all communications, all telephone communications run through Israel. All computer communications run through Israel. They run through Amdocs. Why do the Russians have 50 submarines on our border right now and the Chinese 25? Why do we have 22 nuclear-armed torpedoes that travel at 700 miles an hour ready to slam into the U.S. coasts? How the heck did we get here? What we're going to look at is Netanyahu. Netanyahu said March 12, 2012 that he's going to do everything he can to help the chief rabbis here with the coming of the Messiah, which means nuclear war. Do something to hasten his coming. Benjamin Netanyahu. We're doing. In other words, we're doing everything we can to hasten the coming of Jesus. Folks, we're on the brink of a nuclear war. It's the 27th of December, 2015. And the man on the right is forcing a nuclear war. And if he can't have that, there are hundreds of bombs being laid all across America by his Muslim buddies. Now, how did we get here? How did the U.S. and Russia and China get to the brink of war? Well, deal. It's a big company. But that's why it takes you 5 or 6 seconds when you call your neighbor for it to click. Because your telephone call must first go to Israel and then it's sent back to you. Now, over the weekend, Hart reported that we have, this is very important, the real Putin, the one with the cut.